Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Yes, it's Aurelia Davis, and I'm back. Been missing a while, just a lot of things going on. You know how life is, it happens. And so I'm here, I'm good, and I'm back. Really ready to support my teachers going back into the classrooms, going back into the new school year. Here we are getting ready to start the new school year, fall of 2024. And I'm just wishing you the best starting off strong. You need to start off strong. And when I say start off strong, I want to know, have you, over the time that you did have, for the reflection times, have you reflected over your past, over the past year? How did it end in June? What did the middle of the year look like? How did you begin? And what if you didn't begin in September the way you wanted to? How is this September or August is going to be any different than what happened the last time? What are you going to be able to do different? And then for those that were able to get your class list ahead of time, if you recognize any of those students on your class list, were you able to do some brainstorming and write down some notes about each particular child as to what they might need going into the new school year? This is very important also. So, in the meantime, these are things that you need to consider going back into the classroom. And as you go back into the classroom, you want to be. I had my anticipation of going back into the classroom when I first started teaching was I suffered a lot of anxiety. But as time went on, I realized that I was the one in charge and that I had the ball in my court, and I would just take it slow. I did not necessarily start the year off running. I did not start the year off running. I took my time. I contemplated what I wanted to do. I looked at the first week as to what I wanted to accomplish. But if I did not accomplish everything I had put on my goal sheet for that first week, I was fine with it. I was fine with it. And the reason you do that is because you want to set up goals, but you never know what the students are going to be like that first week. Some of them have been out for the summer and whatever, and they have gotten into a lackadaisical mood, where there necessarily were not necessarily any rules or regulations. So classroom management is the very, very first and foremost thing that you want to put in place at least the 2 to 3 weeks of your school year, beginning of the school year. Classroom management. You have to train those young people as to what the day is going to look like. How are you going to start? What classes are we going to have during the week? How do we prepare to go to our specials? When do we have reading? When do we have math? I always had a classroom schedule on the board, and I let those students know exactly that we were going to follow this schedule as much as possible. Of course, sometimes things happen, but it does not mean that we get totally off our square and then just go berserk. No, it was not going to happen. I found out that the classroom schedule kept me on task, and I found out that the classroom schedule kept my students on task, and we practiced it daily. We practiced it daily. I had the same rules for lining up. I had the same rules for going to your seats. I had the same rules for pulling the students together after a lesson, and so on and so forth. And these particular things I practiced on a day-to-day basis. And then even when I was absent, I would still put those particular practices and those particular steps in place for that particular substitute. So these are things that you want to do. I know that classroom management was my forte for at least the first 2 weeks of school. So I did not try to teach anything. I needed to learn who my students were. My students needed to learn who I was. We had to set some dynamics in that classroom, and that was more important than anything else. And then that period of where we got to know each other and felt comfortable with each other, that was also very, very important. I think before I started teaching, I knew my children felt so comfortable that I had third grade. They felt comfortable enough to come to me and ask me questions. They felt comfortable enough to just express and share things with me, which was always good, which was always good. And I took that as being that we are getting to know each other one on one. And that was very important. And so by the time those particular skills and those particular things got in place, I was ready to teach. And I'm going to be honest, some years I was able to teach at the end of September. Some years I was able to teach in the middle of October, and then some years I didn't start teaching till the 1st of November. Do not panic that you feel you have to get everything in there, because what will happen is that you start filling up that cup, but at the same time the cup start overflowing, and the children haven't learned anything. So it's good to get that classroom management in place first. Um, we have been out of the pandemic for a while now, but we still have issues from the pandemic. Some children are still suffering from the pandemic. And when we talk about social emotional learning, that still is a big part of what's happening in our classrooms. I'm constantly seeing new lessons and new techniques on how to deal with social emotional learning. It was not taught when I was teaching, but I can understand it being something that is needed today. But at the same time, if I was in the classroom, it's just a suggestion. If I was in the classroom, as I started to work with social emotional learning in my children, then what I would do is I would also reach out to my parents, because you just cannot assume that the parents have everything together mentally so that they can work with their children. And so their children are coming to you Monday through Friday, and then they go home on the weekend and something may happen to just disrupt everything you taught Monday through Friday. So you just need to be able to take some things and let some of the things that the children are practicing in the classroom as far as social emotional learning is concerned, and take it home. Take it home. Allow them to take it home. Allow them to be able to share with their parents and things. And you'll be surprised. Some parents are going to get on board, and then some parents are not going to get on board. That's okay. But at least they know exactly what's going on in that particular classroom to help their children deal with a lot of self-care. Practice a lot of self-care. What I would also do in my classroom, and because I have been working with some schools within CPS, and we have started STEM and STEAM in 3 schools in North Lawndale. Hooray! But what I would also consider doing is that start some STEM corners. I'm going to call them STEM corners. STEM corners: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Start some STEM corners. Pick a section in your classroom, or either if you have your children sitting in groups, and pull out some STEM materials. You would be surprised. Everything can be made from STEM. STEM includes everything. That's the world. It includes the world. When I thought about this subject, I said, oh my God, I have to learn these techniques and things like that. But no, anything and everything. I mean, it's as simple as taking 3 tools: a hammer, a pair of pliers, and a screwdriver, and putting it in a station. Put it in a STEM station. That can go under engineering. It can go under engineering, it can go under science. And just put some paper. Let the children examine those tools that we use every day. Let them examine those tools. Let them figure out do some problem solving. How would we use those tools? Why were they made the way they were made? And in other words, why do they come? Do some of them come in different sizes? And we know that they do. Then, of course, you turn around and tell the children take a trip to Home Depot. But anyway, start some STEM corners in your classroom. You also want to build up STEM vocabulary. Build up STEM vocabulary within your classroom. Those science words, those technology words, those engineering words, those art words, and of course the math words. These words, they can never be too easy. And when I see toddlers in grocery carts manipulating a phone or looking at a video or something like that, they can learn STEM words. And so you just want to start just expressing those. And the earlier you can put it in that child's mind and let them know that these particular things, this vocabulary exists, the better off you are. So start those STEM corners. I'm calling them STEM corners. I think I would have, and then you know what? Every once in a while, change up. What you want to do is you want the students in your classroom to be able to visit all of the areas. They may be stuck on one particular one, but you want to encourage them to visit. If they're really into technology, of course, you want to push them over and say, okay, spend a couple of periods in math and see what you can discover. Because eventually all of those skills come together. All of those skills come together one way or the other, and the children will start combining the areas together to see, oh my goodness, this is a screwdriver, and it has three, is three-dimensional, and it has this, this particular, the science part is it has a flat end on it, so it can go into so it can screw in a flat screw, flat head and flat nail, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but start those things. It's just that the year can be so exciting, and you can just build it up to be something that's going to be so phenomenal for your children. Let's just be honest. Sitting at the desk is no longer. You want your students up and moving around in your classroom. Of course, the management style is that you want them to be, that you want to have some kind of control. So in order for them to keep being able to do that, to get up in the class, to step into the classroom and just go to a science center, step in the classroom and go to a technology center, a math center, or an engineering center, and then, or even just to the library to sit down and read, all of this is learning. And they are still learning, and you'll be surprised how much they do on their own, to the point where when they get ready to take those state mandated tests, they will be ready. Then that does not mean you don't teach. Yes, you are instructing, you are a facilitator. You are going from child to child, giving them exactly whatever they need, because we are also realizing that out of 21 to 25 students in your classroom, you have 25 different learners, and they all learn at a certain pace. They all learn differently. They all learn at a certain pace. They all can take in information. Some of them may have a little difficulty taking in information, but even with your classroom management in those first couple of weeks, you're going to start finding those three groups that I have always talked about. That group that might be that low group, or we call them low group, but they're the lowest, as far as knowledge is concerned, but we basically put them at the top of the pyramid. We call that the A group, because they're going to need a lot of tender loving care throughout the class, after school year. And then you have that middle group. Oh, let me go back. That first group may have issues in language, special ed, reading, and math. That middle group is basically somewhat on grade level, but they may have some deficits in reading or math. And then that last group is just accelerated in everything. And even though they are accelerated, you still want to just take them to the next level for learning, because that's going to keep pushing them. If you have third graders, you may have some fifth grade learners in your classroom. You may have some sixth grade learners, children that have excelled so far, and you just do not want to leave them alone. You want to give them exactly whatever they need in order for them to keep doing what they do. Well, oh my goodness, I guess I have been saving this up for a long time. This is Aurelia Davis, the educator's educator, coming to you, and I will be back. I'm back. I'm just to encourage my teachers and just giving you the best information, and just being able to listen. Feel free to go over. If you do have questions for me, go over to my website, aureliadavis.com, and give me a question or something, and I'll try to get back. I will get back to you and answer that question, because there's nothing new under the sun. Let's put it that way. There's nothing new under the sun. And I want you to feel comfortable in the space where you teach. The children need to know that you're comfortable in the space that you teach. So go over to my website, aureliadavis.com. And while you're on there, look at some of the products that I have. The STEM cards are still there for preschool, but at the same time, preschool and beyond. Let's put it that way. It's preschool and beyond. If you have not gotten STEM cards yet, order some. Next couple of weeks, I'm going to also be taking you through lessons on how to use the STEM cards, and how I basically take a basic lesson plan and take it to the next level. Because whatever you see on paper and whatever's written down, that's just a guide to tell you exactly what you need to do next. So let's do this. Okay. Brand new school year. Wishing you the best. This is AureliaDavis.com. Visit me again. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.